The other thing is I heard that it's going to be a terrible year for ticks because we had so much snow and the ticks can insulate in the snow mounds. So, and it didn't get below whatever temperature for 45 straight days. I don't know. All right. All right. Why don't we have somebody who's not Aaron come up? Because Aaron, we need the pictures. So how about we have Lee come up and Lee can introduce us to our new marketing team members. How does that sound? Awesome.
So I wanted to welcome our new team, our new marketing sales team this month. So we've been telling you that they were coming. So they have all started and been here at least a week or two and are getting their training under their belts, and we'll set them on their phones and start selling soon. So we'll start with Emily, Katie, and Natalie, and I'll let them each introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Emily Smith Conlon. I'm your new sales director here at Friendship Village of Dublin. I have 16 years of experience under my belt working for other life care communities. So I'm excited to be here and excited to start selling for you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Huffman. I am one of the residency counselors with Neil, who I'm sure most of you know. I have just about 11 years experience in senior living, but I'm super, super excited about being here at Friendship.
Hello, my name is Natalie Smith. I am the new move-in coordinator, so I am helping our new residents get settled into their new home, and I see some familiar faces that I've met already, and thank you for welcoming in, and I'm excited to be here.
And we do have 2 residents that'll be moving in the month of May, and then we have 4 more, I believe, in June. So we're going to be having probably 1 move-in every week starting towards the middle of May and going to the end of June. So we'll keep you updated on when everybody's coming in.
Awesome. Thanks. Tom, can you adjust my microphone up just a little bit? I'm having a hard time hearing. All right, Emily, do you want to come up? Or not Emily, goodness gracious. Aaron, do you want to come up and tell us about our master plan?
Thank you. All right, let's see if I can work this thing this week. Down. Yep. Hi, everyone. All right, so over the last month, we have been busy working away mostly in the what we call 2.2, the new healthcare center. Putting the finishing touches on the resident rooms and working through finishes in the common areas, which are most of the pictures that I'll show you today. We are on track for a construction completion the end of the first week or beginning of the second week in June, at which point then the survey window will open and we will just wait for the health department to show up for their inspection. We're also in the planning phases still of the next and final master plan project, which is the 2.3 memory care renovation. Depending on when that Department of Health inspection happens, we're expecting that construction to start sometime late summer or early fall. So some photos of the healthcare center, common area finishes that have been going in. This is the new entrance and reception desk area. All that millwork and casework went in since our last meeting. We've also been going through the building and replacing all of the windows and doors. So this is just an example of windows and a new storefront door that were installed just last week on the first floor. And then we've final painted all of the corridors. This is the 3rd floor resident room corridor, and put light fixtures in. And really, we're pretty close to being done on the 2nd and 3rd floor. This is the beverage station in the new dining area on the 3rd floor. and some pictures of our kitchen. When we talked last month, the kitchen equipment had just been delivered. So all of the kitchen equipment is now set in place. We're working on hooking everything up and getting ready for inspections. So a few pictures of the kitchen. And then we've also been working on the corridor renovation on the first floor, kind of between the 2.2 and 2.3 projects. So this is the current state of that corridor. If you've seen those temporary partitions up, this is kind of what's behind those walls right now. And more finishes going in, first floor restrooms. And that is all. Any questions on the master plan? All right.
All right, so now we have Betsy. Hi, Betsy, to give us a charitable giving update.
Just go down. I think down is the answer. I'm in my winter wardrobe today. I'm a little bit crabby about it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have wool socks on. All right. But I'm excited to see you all this morning. When I was getting ready for this month's town hall, I thought, my gosh, we have a lot going on in charitable giving, a lot to report to all of you today. So I'm excited to get to share. First off, last month, towards the end of the month, our scholarship committee convened. So that's a committee of 3 residents, your resident association leadership, and then 2 board members that came together. They met over 2 days, many hours of interviews, a lot of really hard work, and came out of it and decided to award 10 scholarships this year. So very, very excited. 9 associates and 1 child of one of our associates. So I imagine you see some familiar faces, familiar names on this list, and they will be faces if you come and join us on July 14th at the scholarship reception. So location to be determined. Let's cross our fingers for like beautiful weather and we can all be outside and enjoy that outside. But location to be determined. You may remember last year we had to do it virtually. And I'm hoping this year it'll at least be hybrid, where if some folks want to come in person, they can. And if some folks want to watch, they can do that too. So congratulations to those folks. They've all been notified. So if you see them, you can congratulate them. And I should say, the most important thing, we wouldn't be able to do this without gifts to our scholarship fund. So to all of you who make donations to the scholarship fund, thank you so much. It wouldn't be possible without that.
How many scholarships were awarded a year ago?
8. So this is an increase. We're very happy. We always note it's not always possible for the program to grow, but this year it was. Gifts were up and investments did well, and so we were able to increase the program. Yes. You have a question, Sandy? Yeah.
What do the scholarships amount to?
So this year they are $3,500 scholarships. So it's a pretty sizable distribution that we're making this year for folks' education. We're just grateful. Gifts have grown and investments have done well, and the committee was able to allocate that much for scholarships this year. So very fortunate. Yes. That's a great question. It goes directly to the institution. So this is a qualified scholarship program, and that way those recipients are able to avoid tax consequences. So those scholarships are available for tuition, fees, books. They are not able to use them for room and board because it is going directly to the institution. Great question. All right, any more? I love the questions. So last month at my Charitable Giving Committee meeting, I was talking about how we were hosting the Legacy Society Lunch, an event that I had not had an opportunity to host since joining Friendship Village of Dublin, because I came on and just 6 months later we had this crazy pandemic that hit us. And some of the members of my Charitable Giving Committee said, "What's the Legacy Society?" And I was like, whew, okay, we got a little work to do here. Our Legacy Society at Friendship Village of Dublin are donors, across time who have either established a charitable gift annuity with Friendship Village of Dublin or have shared with me or one of my predecessors that we are included in their estate plans. So they have decided to include Friendship Village of Dublin in part of their estate plans. And so prior to my coming on, we would have an annual dinner or lunch or something to thank those folks. And so we do have currently 7 donor families who are members of our Legacy Society, and we will be recognizing them next week at a luncheon. So just wanted to let you know who those folks are. We do recognize them on the donor wall downstairs, but we don't all go up and stare at that wall. And so just wanted to give these folks an extra thanks. Some of them are newer members, have joined the Legacy Society since I have been here. Others have been members for many, many years. It's a big deal to let us know that we are included in your estate plans. Basically, you're saying, gosh, you're like a member of the family, and that's a really big deal. And so we are incredibly grateful to these folks who have shared these plans with us. If you ever want to learn more about it, of course, I'm happy to talk to you about it. And I would encourage you, with Friendship Village of Dublin or any other organization, if you care about an organization enough to include them in your estate plans, please let them know, because I know I really like to thank people now, today, and I'm sure other organizations that you're supporting that you care about would like the chance to do the same thing. So if you'd like to talk about that here, talk to me, but I encourage you with other organizations that you care about, that you love, that you want to support forever and ever, let them know. They'd love to thank you. And finally, super exciting, we have a new program to talk about, and it is called Friendship in Bloom. And this program is going to be bringing gardening and horticulture to our Waterford Place and Health Center. And so it's very exciting. We know that we in independent living have a number of very talented gardeners. We see the evidence of their work in the North Gardens and in the South Gardens. We've not had as many opportunities for folks to continue this passion when they move into Waterford Place or the Health Center. So thanks very much to a visionary gift from the Her family, Joan in part while she was with us, and then her sons actually following her lead and following up. We are starting this program. So it's very exciting. We are partnering with local Master Gardener volunteers. We have also been partnering with a horticulture therapist who lives in the Cleveland area who's been helping us design this program. And we are going to be asking for volunteers from independent living to help us. So stay tuned. I have a focus group meeting next week to determine exactly what our volunteer needs are going to be. But June 21st, and then ongoing from then on, we're going to be needing some help from independent living. Do you love to garden? Maybe you used to keep a garden in one of the gardens, but it was more than you wanted to continue, but you'd like to come and help every once in a while. We would love to have your help. So stay tuned for more information about Friendship in Bloom, which is our therapeutic horticulture program coming to Waterford Place and the Health Center. And in addition, there's going to be a fancy new exciting sculpture being installed out in the courtyard too. That's a part of this program. So stay tuned for that too. I hope I didn't go too far over. Thank you all for your time.
I think as we have Jay work his way up, I'll work and just comment on this Friendship in Bloom program. Betsy, during the pandemic, when it was just so doom and gloom, she's like, I gotta find some goodness in here. And so she started doing all this research on horticulture therapy. And really, as we shift our focus to opening up our new memory care, we know how important therapies are going to be. Horticulture therapy, art therapy, music therapy, love therapy, whatever it is going to be. And I think this horticultural therapy, because we have all these beautiful grounds and we are so fortunate, we have so many incredible gardeners, is just really going to be an infusion of life into our new areas. And wait till you see the new sculpture that Joan and Andy designed. So it's going to be wonderful. Jay.
Good morning, everybody. There's a lot going on in culinary services these days. one of the things I want to take a look back and see before we get into the topics is that it was extraordinary to see the scholarship winners. It's always exciting when we have the opportunity to reward our servers. On the list, we had 7 of the 10 were from the culinary department. Where this plays a big role is in the second topic that I have to discuss today, is our associate shortages. This is one tool that we utilize to encourage staff to want to work here. This is a great tool. The staff has responded very well. As you can see, every one of those students on that list do an extraordinary job day in and day out. We have grown so much in the last 6 to 8 months. The pandemic, has created a lot of differences for us. I want to compliment our servers, from the full-time all the way to the part-time. They've remained committed to all of the services that we are offering. They remain here day in and day out. One thing that you don't know that happens in the background is under the staffing shortages, on a day in and day out, there's always these evolution of change. The kids are going to school, they have all these things. The biggest thing I have to say about them is that when we are light on service staff, they show up. There's been a lot of nights where the staff we've been down to 4 or 5, and I'll place a text message out and 3 of them will show up. So this is an extraordinary time with an extraordinary staff. They're all focused and committed to delivering good quality service. So I want to, if you get a chance, send me a letter, say hello, send a card. We'd love to hear about it. One of the reminders I wanted to jump in as we grow back into our dining room, the walkers and wheelchairs are creating a little bit of a disruption. So what I mean by that is that we can have them going in and out. The pathways are a little tight. We have some little construction going on the ceiling, getting some repair work. We should be wrapping that up. But moving forward, we're going to ask the servers to ask you if it's okay to take the walker and put it along the outside rim of the dining room. That would be down the Waterford entry hallway where a couple of the chairs are. So we just ask for your patience while we get through that and help us get through that process. You are allowed to hold on to it until you go up to the buffet and return. But as soon as you're done, please note that if it's in the aisleway, we're going to have to move it as quickly as possible just to create anybody from tripping or falling. As we mentioned, the associate shortage is something that's a real thing. It's out there. It's all over the news. I heard some of the local restaurants are having to close their hours a little earlier. We have a lot of tools in place. I think we have an advantage, not being a tipped environment, so it's not created by the families showing up to the restaurant. So we have an advantage, and we've made some progress in our pay rates. We are looking at increasing those in the next year. Angela's been very supportive and very complimentary to what the plans are. So moving that, we're looking at it being a competitive pay rate. We've got the scholarship going through. We've been very flexible in our scheduling. The servers have been very open. The thing is now with a lot of the students, the way they're operating, they're not doing a ton of after-school activities, so that is kind of a plus for us. So they can give us 4 or 5 days a week. So with that being said, the associate shortage is not going to go away anytime soon. We just hit our seasonal dip, which happens every year with the school season. We'll hit that dip again when we go back to school in September. That is pretty standard, but there's a big piece of the puzzle that's on top of that that's amplifying that transition. So I see this as I don't even want to put a time frame, but I see the associate shortage being something we're going after, trying to get as many, attract many servers as possible, but the outcomes remains to be seen. Now, reservations, we are still taking reservations in the legacy dining room. We are planning to whittle that down. We have now increased the amount of residents that can dine in the legacy dining room. The legacy, we were holding it at 90. Now we are moving it to 110 for the meal service. Over the past week, we had, I think there was 3 of the 4 days, or 3 of the 7 days that were what we call kind of full. So we're going to expand that list so that more people can dine in the evening at dinner. Lunch remains open dining. So if at any time you don't need a reservation at lunch, you can just stop on down and jump right in. We are planning to get dinner to that level. We are monitoring every day for when that level can take place. We have no defined timeline for that. We're hoping by the end of the month we can move away from that. So, any questions for culinary?
With your associate shortages, is there anything that we as residents can do to help that?
I think, you know, the one that jumps right out there is if you have any family members or people that may be interested in working for us, that's probably the easiest thing to do. I think you're adjusting nicely. One thing that, you know, alleviates us all is, you know, we're working on the buffet participation. That helps alleviate some of the stress where, you know, the service levels won't go up and down. The kitchen right now there's a 40% average participation at the buffet. Before the pandemic, it was about 85 to 90% participation. And I attribute the difference is I think the menued items are just so popular and people are enjoying them along with the chef's special, the things out of the kitchen are just coming out so nicely prepared that people are just jumping on board.
We'll take questions at the end, okay?
Yeah.
We'll take questions at the end. We want to keep going on that. I will just say on the shortage, we have some talent acquisition cards. So if you're ever out at a restaurant and you have a really great server, you should say, oh, come work at Friendship Village, and we have some cards at the front. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Tom's going to give us an update on IT.
Thank you, Rita. So I wanted to quickly realize that I need to change the slide. Yes. We're going to dispense with the drum roll and let people know that we have chosen Spectrum to be our new TV and internet provider. So this was the result of a month, 2 months worth of work with the resident television committee, selecting, weeding out, testing, trying, kicking the tires, sometimes the representatives who came in to try to sell us, you know, on the fact that we should be there or we should select them. At the end of that time, there were a couple of really big, there were a number of factors that we used to evaluate vendors, but the overall goal was stability, which I think some would agree may not be where we would like it right now, as well as flexibility. So if residents wanted different things, we wanted to be able to allow them to pick. This is your home. You should choose what you want to have on TV. We also don't want you waking up in the morning and wondering if you hit the button, will you get your show or static or someone else's TV or something like that. So our two guiding principles were stability and flexibility. We had the option with our Spectrum proposal to also address an internet issue, which I'm sure many of you have experienced off and on in the past. Sometimes the signal isn't quite as good, isn't quite as fast. What we will be looking at is providing each room, each apartment, with a 400 download by 20 upload speed, which in comparison to what we have now primarily is a 10 by 2. So you can see, if you know nothing else about IT or numbers, you know that 400 is bigger than 10 and 20 is bigger than 2. So it will provide individual accounts now for residents. And as I said, the internet being a bonus as part of their proposal wasn't the reason we picked it for TV, but was certainly an added bonus that went into our decision. So I will switch quickly to, and I think we're going to take questions at the end. So let's, if anyone has any questions, we can publish the names of everybody on the TV committee. You can just ask them. But I did want to talk a little bit about charging for residential services. I know that this has been discussed prior to my even getting here a year ago, has been on the radar for folks. And when COVID hit, there were no Geek Squad calls, no trips to Micro Center, and even your nieces and nephews couldn't come in to really help with some of the things that those darn kids know how to do now. So we obviously did not implement that. We've been sort of shouldering, trying to respond to all resident requests through the IT department. But as of July 1st, there will start to be charges. I know there will be questions, and I'm happy to answer them at the end about what would qualify, as a charge. If it's something that we did and we go in and fix it, obviously we won't be charging you to fix what we broke. But these are the common sets of things that we are going to be charging for now. The costs, as you can see, a little fuzzy down there. Every first visit will be $30. It will be charged in 15-minute increments of $15 for a total of $60 for an hour if we have to be there. In order to try to make that transition a little easier, we are also going to be offering, and we haven't nailed down where, but at least 2 days a week, 2 hours at a time, the IT staff will be available in a central location. I've been leaning towards trying to take over the fireside room, but I hear there's some stiff competition for that one. But we will find an appropriate spot. We will be available for 2 hours. You can bring us your iPads, your iPhones, your laptops, and if it is a relatively easy fix that we would be able to just, uninstall something for you, get you connected to the internet, do something, that we normally have been doing, we will do that at no charge. It's only when we have to come to your apartment and spend more time working on more difficult problems that we would incur a charge, and you also would then have the ability to call nieces, nephews, take it into Micro Center, or have the Geek Squad come out as well. So I think that's enough to say about that. Thank you.
Tom, you make me so nervous when you stand on the edge. I think you're going to fall. Just to clarify, this starts July 1st. So this is just a June update for a service that will start July 1st. All right, Angela Vogan. While Angela works her way up, everybody's working very, very hard these days, but Angela's got her hands full with all of this recruitment. So we just want to show a little appreciation for her.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. So I actually just want to dovetail on that a little bit. I listened to a presentation yesterday about the hourly rate from the perfect storm. And the perfect storm actually is, and I haven't shared this with my team yet, but it's unemployment benefits, the stimulus check, and tax return time. So on average, if you take a $15 an hour person that's working, and that's an average rate, that's obviously what they make per hour. Right now, between all three of those, the average hourly rate to stay at home is $34. So it is double plus some to stay at home. And so we can see why we have a nationwide shortage right now. It's a lot easier. I mean, I'll go, right? It's relaxing. Just kidding. My house is not relaxing. Okay, so one of the pieces of feedback that we've received is that we do a lot of fun things for our associates to try to tell them that we care about them and that, it's more than just coming to work is work. It's really about that engagement piece of it. But one of the things we heard from all of you is that we weren't sharing it. And so each month I'm going to give you just an update on some of the items that we do for our associates. So the first one, I think a lot of people have asked, what do we do with those extraordinary impressions cards? So first thing is they are used for our Associate of the Month vote, but all of them actually get put into a big pin, and we pick them out, and whoever gets to be the winner, I think we do one at the beginning, one at the end, gets a $25 gift card of their choice, so whatever they want to do with them. Then they go back to the departments, and the department head reviews them with the entire team so that everybody can hear those acts of service within the team and some recognition points between their peers. So that's exciting, and we obviously put that out, and then we give it to the associate to keep, because I have a wall of things that people have said nice to me, so that's what we do with them. The fun stuff in April, so we had a National Pretzel Day, of course. You have to celebrate food days. Those are always fun. We had a National High Five Day, so we encouraged associates through our on-shift messaging system just randomly to do high fives. We celebrated Administrative Professional Day. We sent them a nice little note and a recognition point for all they do at our front desks. We had our Scholarship Month, which I think Betsy's going to talk about at some point. And then, of course, we recognized Arbor Day. We encouraged people to go out and take walks on our beautiful campus that our lovely landscaping team makes sure is always beautiful for us to look at. And then we had a big old retirement party for one of our associates, which we're going to share with you here soon. Do I have another slide? I think so. Oh, and then I get to introduce to you today our May Associate of the Month. So that is Jean Doty. Jean, come on up. Jean, do you want to tell them what you did, or should I? So Miss Jean here, we had an elevator down, and then somebody's daughter or family wasn't able to come. So on both occasions, Jean went above and beyond. With the elevator, there was a very large food delivery that she took up to this resident's room. It was the 4th or the 5th floor, so even further, of course. And then she made sure that one resident had her dinner brought to her room because, of course, she was disappointed because her plans didn't work out. So congratulations to Jean.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for voting for me. Thank you for the privilege of getting to know everyone. I really love it here. So thank you.
Thanks, Jean. Jean was really happy to get the parking spot this month with all the rain. I don't blame her. And then I just want to bring up our honorable mentions. 2 of our servers, Christina Masto, Mohammed Esmali. One of our activities aides in the Waterford Place, Bobby Joe Coates. And then, of course, our River's Edge Cafe extraordinaire, Beth Boswell. So those are our 4 peeps, if you want to give them a pat on the back and say congratulations.
All right. $34 an hour, huh? It's amazing. Seth, you want to come give us an update?
Good morning, everyone. Oh my goodness. It's good to see everyone. Hope everyone had a nice Mother's Day. I told a couple people out in the audience, I have a 3-year-old Ruby. So about 6:30 on Sunday morning, I heard her door fly open and heard her little feet run into our room, snuggle up right next to my wife and whisper, "Happy Valentine's Day." And my heart was completely full in that moment. And I know my wife's was as well. So hope you all had a nice Mother's Day. All right, so Jessica's on vacation, so you get a double dose of me this morning. Bear with me. So we just recently learned for our 5 stars, so everything we do in the health center is monitored by CMS. We learned some not great news a couple weeks ago, that there was an error in our submission. So we have to report all the staffing hours for direct care providers, so that's our nurses, our STNAs, every quarter. And there is a good process in place. We review all those hours, and then we submit it directly to CMS, and that's what populates our 5-star, our staffing rating. And there was an error in that file, and it dropped us to a 1-star in staffing. Now, I assure you, we had more staff there than what a 1-star staffing would justify. So we typically budget for 4-star staffing, and this was for the 4th quarter of 2020. Which, as you know, was a rough time altogether for us in the health center, and we overstaffed because we were running 3 units essentially. So I know, speaking for Jessica, we were obviously sick to our stomachs over that error, but it'll be reflected for the next 90 days, and then we'll correct it to how we normally are. So yeah, not good news on that we learned, but certainly wanted to make you guys aware that if you see that, if you hear of that, it really was an error in a file submission. So, of course, we reached out to our liaisons with the associations and said, what's our recourse here? Can we get this corrected with the right information? No, they're not interested in that. So sit and wait we must. So yeah, so our overall 5-star rating, because our staffing rating, the calculation is if that drops, it really drops your whole overall star rating. So we went from a 5 to a 3 due to that error. So again, I'm not happy about it, but 90 days, we'll get back to where we need to be. And that's a good point. Angela, doing part of her payroll duties, we've already submitted the 1st quarter of 2021. And we triple checked it, quadruple checked it, 0 errors, So we got to just wait the 90 days for that to recalculate. Pat? And that's why we reached out to our legal counsel and our association and said, what's the recourse to get that switched? And they basically said CMS is not interested in that. So the CMS Compare or our website? Because that's all, it all feeds right to that CMS website. So yes, agreed. All right, another thing we've got going on in the health center. So I think it was last month, I was on vacation, but we introduced Deb DeBoard, who's our new director of nursing. She has since resigned, so obviously not ideal, but I think she had a moment of personal reflection and just decided that her background's in emergency department, and she wanted to get back to that. So the good news is working with Rita and Angela Vogan, we have reached out and have a professional recruiter that really specializes in this type of job. And we've already made really good headway. We've already had 3 really good interviews. I think we have 3 more this week. So we're not really wasting any time. We know how key this is to our operations. And we are determined to find the right person for our team over there because they deserve a great leader. So we are well under our way to find the replacement. All right, so I know Aaron Pence showed us some good pictures of our health center renovation. So actually Rita and I were over there today. It's really coming together. So we have been meeting weekly as a transition team to really plan our move over to our new health center. And that transition team is comprised of our greater organization, all levels. So our executive leadership team, our middle management, our supervisors are all working on really a transition plan, a live document that we update in all of our areas. We meet weekly to review that. And it's really the same blueprint we used for our Waterford move about 14 months ago, which was proven to be successful. So just trying to get a good collaborative group weekly to try to think through all the details to make sure everything's taken care of. And then I know Jessica, Jeanette, Amber, they're going to start meeting with families here in the next month to start showing some rooms and picking out what room do you want to have. And it's going to be a beautiful facility. So we're very much looking forward to that. Okay, so we are excited to announce that we're going to be re-implementing our nurse call for independent living. So as you guys know, COVID hit. We kind of put the barriers up for all of our campus, crossing over between areas of care. So we just feel with our community vaccination rate and some of the protocols we have in place that we can re-implement that. So starting the 17th, which is a week from yesterday, the nurses will be coming over and responding to emergencies. So that whole process, if you guys have your pendant or your pull cord in your apartment, you press it, it sends an immediate alert to our security team and also to our nursing team. So security teams, they all carry iPhones. They get the call immediately. They are our first responders, and then they are in direct communication with our nurse to evaluate the situation. No, it's a false alarm. Yes, it's a real emergency. I'll pick you up here. We need, given the details. So we are going to be doing some education with re-education with our nursing team this week, so everybody's knows our process, our updated process, and we will start that the 17th. So. Okay, I just want to give a quick overview. So Jeannie, myself, Culinary, Jay, Lee definitely has been helping. We're been working on a project, it's called Touchdown. So basically it's the grapevine on steroids, right Jeannie? Is that how we're gonna, okay. So really just wanted to make some advances in our technology as far as resident engagement. So it's going to be basically our own app. You can get through it via your smartphone or through a web browser. But we've been going through for about 2 months really designing how we want it to look, all the intricacies of it, and what it'll allow you guys to do. So really it's going to be an information hub for you guys and you can kind of see the icons that we've started to build out. It's going to have directories, so a staff directory, a resident directory, Touchdown Live, so any of our live streams you can go on, click through and watch via the app. Jeannie's group is going to have a lot to do with it as far as the programs and activities that are open. You can go in there and sign up for those. Culinary is going to have some really nice advancements as far as reservations and online ordering. So just giving you guys more avenues to sign up for things like that. So this is kind of a first look at it. I think we're targeted for about mid to end of June. So here in the next month, we're going to be rolling this out. So working with Jeannie and her team, Alan, Jill, having some educational sessions, a launch party, helping you guys download it and everything on, I'm talking with my hands. Download it on your devices, make sure you have access to it. And then we're also going to have a nice interactive kiosk as well down by the front desk that will have all the information, and we'll be able to assist residents in maybe in signing up for things and going in there and exploring. So really excited about it. And like I said, stay tuned for more information. We're very hopeful and on track for June, mid-June to get this launched. And yeah, looking forward to it. All right, this is my favorite slide. So we recently had a retirement here at FVD. Cheryl, if you want to come on, pop on up here. So Cheryl Webb. So Cheryl got the first glimpse of this picture while we were sitting over there, and she said, "I swear that's not me." And I said, "Well," I think it came out of your file.
It looks like I'm flying.
She says, "It looks like I'm flying." But Cheryl started here on September 9th, 1981, which is amazing. And she worked in environmental support services in our health center for that entire time. Which is just
my kingdom in it.
Which is truly amazing. She obviously has touched a lot of lives over that tenure and has seen a lot of change. But if you know Cheryl and like us that work with Cheryl closely, if you're having a little bit of a bad day, you pop by and visit Cheryl, and she'll make you laugh like that and instantly pick up your spirits. And I can only imagine how many residents and fellow associates she's done the same for almost 40 years. So we thought it was well-deserved for her to come up here and give her a round of applause for her years of service here at Friendship Village. You want to say anything?
No.
We will miss her, right?
I'll miss this place.
Yeah.
I will. This Friendship Village has been very good to me through all my ups and downs. I want my apartment right next to the kitchen where the food is.
Yeah, well, we will certainly make sure Cheryl comes back to our new health center because, I mean, she literally, you said it was 3 months after it opened, right? Right. So certainly...
in June. It wasn't even full. There was only 2 openings on the one main hall was empty. So there was nobody hardly. But that's okay. I love the health center.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my kingdom.
We'll make sure you come back for the new health center and check it out, Cheryl. And thank you for all you've done here for our residents. And I miss you already. Don't be a stranger, okay?
Cheryl, we can't thank you enough. 40 years deserves like extra high fives and awesome. All right, what questions can we answer for you? Yes, Smith. Oh, the name of the health center. Yes. So I'm now going to fall. This might make me want to jump. So we got so many great names for the health center. We had names like Heritage and the Meadows and a whole bunch of really great names. And when we started paring down the names, we did a search for other health centers that were like ours around the country. And I think what we found was that we just weren't hitting the mark on the names that we all selected. So we actually just recently engaged in a search, a branding search, to have somebody come in and help us give us some additional names, taking the list of names that we have, and then using some of that to make sure that we don't have a repeat name. And we're being a little picky because we want something that's symbolic to this land. As you remember, this was the Sells Farm, and actually where the health center is called the Meadows. And so that's why we got the name the Meadows. We just can't reuse the name the Meadows in assisted living to the health center. So it's been a little trickier and hairier than we would have thought, but we called in the big professionals and hopefully they'll help us. So you'll still have an opportunity to help us pick the name. It's just not on the ones that we necessarily selected. Good question. What other questions? Yes. Timing for the TV. There he is. I was like, he left us. It's going to be a while. So if you remember, one of the disadvantages of Spectrum would be that they have to re-cable the entire building with the coax. They don't have to go into your apartment, but they still have to run the lines because they don't want to use the same lines that are in the building or in the corridors now because they're a little old and they can't guarantee success of those lines. So they're telling us several months, 6 to 8 months, but we know, like construction, things just tend to be a little bit longer. So we just made the decision actually late last week. We talked to the TV committee about it yesterday, and now it's our job to really make sure that the Spectrum engineers come in, know what they're doing, know how we can do it, have a systematic approach for that. So that's the next step now that we know that we're headed down the Spectrum route. One big step, 4 more big steps along the TV process. Yes, Libby. Is there a contract that we have to sign with Spectrum? The answer is yes. Friendship Village has to sign that contract, not you individually. And that's another piece of this is we want to make sure, Spectrum's a really big company and we're just a really small fish in the pond. So this is our one chance to make sure that we get the contractual legalese verbiage. We want to see if there's a way we can get a get out of jail free clause, which probably isn't going to happen, but we're working on it. Implementation, service, there's several things that we're working on. It will be a 5-year contract with Spectrum. Yes, Joe. So we have a family member coming who's a big Giants fan. We won't discuss that. I'm sure she's lovely. And can she join in the common area pieces? And I think at this time, Betsy can help me with this. Our guidelines are that if you have been vaccinated, you can come in, but you can't partake in the group. Let us talk about that in our COVID call, and we'll give you a further answer on that. Yes, Mr. Jakes.
Does the 5-year contract begin after Spectrum has installed all its wiring, or does the 5 years include the installation of their wiring?
The question is, when does the clock start on the 5-year contract with Spectrum? Is it now, or is it after they do the implementation? And I think that's still being negotiated. I think we would rather have it be sooner rather than later to get the time ticking. But again, we literally just made the decision Friday. And I know the Spectrum engineers were here Friday afternoon to look because there was some concern that maybe we couldn't run the coax in the new health center, but don't worry, we can. So As we learn more about that, we'll communicate with you. Yes, Pat.
Being aware of the COVID issues, is there a way that volunteers can help with the move to the health center?
Being aware of the COVID issue, is there a way that the volunteers can help with the move to the health center? And the answer is yes. So we are going to try to find a way. I think one of the things we really loved about the Waterford transition was your involvement with the residents in Waterford. And unfortunately, like, we opened Waterford and then 2 days later we shut everything down. So I think we're going to try really hard to re-engage that, because I think that's one of our big goals, is to really not have silos. Like, it makes me so happy that our Waterford residents are joining for happy hours and derby parties and Mother's Day events and things like that. And we want to try really hard to bring our whole community together in that regard. So we're still really working through those logistics of moving. I think I told a group yesterday, I think Waterford, we took 6 to 8 months to plan. We don't have 6 to 8 months to plan this move, and thank goodness we have a little experience under our belt, but I think we just started our transition meetings a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot of details still to work out. Yes, Rohini.
Will you continue to offer the hybrid programming options? If we are not able to attend any one of these sessions in person, that we can watch it later on YouTube? Will you be recording these sessions or not?
So I think the answer is, the question is, will we continue with the hybrid meetings like this? So many of you are in this room, several people are at home in their PJs, all of that good stuff. And I think COVID has changed us in that regard. We're not going to go back to just having straight meetings. I think there are opportunities when we're in this room to have some things be live streamed. And one of the other perks of going with Spectrum is that every person in the community will now have Channel 51, so you can see some of those activities. I think there's also going to be some opportunity to just make sure that we're all together in a room and having a little bit of fun. So I don't think the hybrid is going to go away. I think it's just going to have to evolve as we go. Yeah. My understanding is that the YouTube is the YouTube. It takes, so like this meeting, for example, is an hour, and it probably takes 30 to 45 minutes to upload it into YouTube. So I think there will be components that will be uploaded into YouTube to watch later. I think the exercises classes are a huge thing. There will be some components that will still be hybrid. There will be others that will just be straight meetings or live stream. So we'll work through that as we go. Yes, Barb. So the question is that about the DVR for the new Spectrum. So there's a lot of details that we will communicate with all of you. I don't think now is really the right forum because I can confuse you very quickly. But very high level, Spectrum will give you each person 2 DVRs per room. Each one of those DVRs, you can record and watch up to 2 things at one time. So if you have 2 DVRs, you can record and watch 4 things at a time. The challenge is that the 2 DVRs don't talk to each other. So if you record the Buckeyes game in the living room, you can't watch the Buckeye game in your bedroom. You can only watch it in the living room. So we'll put it all in a nice, neat package as we kind of walk through these next several months to make sure that everyone is aware. But I have to also thank our TV committee has been incredible and walked through this step with us. And obviously Tom has spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on this TV. So we feel confident in the direction that we're going. That said, there really were no great options. There wasn't like a silver bullet of this is everything. So we chose the best option that we had available to us. What other questions do we have? Yes, Mitz. So for those of us who don't use our smartphones proficiently, will Grapevine still be available?
We will be moving everything from Grapevine to Touchdown. So, but there will be a web-based option with Touchdown. So if you don't have a smartphone, if you just have a traditional desktop or a laptop, we'll work to set up the link so you can still get in and pull it up on your computer. Just like you would Grapevine, correct? Yeah.
Have you thought about how drastic a change this is to put everything on electronics without any backup?
No, we haven't thought about that.
Yes, I mean, yeah, and yes. Yeah, and our goal. Yeah, the question is, have we thought through what if Seth's not tech savvy? What are my options? Are we going to eliminate and everything goes to Touchdown and there's no more paperback process, or there's no avenue for assistance or help? So obviously we've been meeting with Touchdown weekly and have shared our concerns about that. But I know working with Jeannie and her team, we're still going to have options because we know that we can't just go all to Touchdown and stop some of our current process for our residents that may be like me that aren't tech savvy. So that's not our goal or our intention. And yes, that was part of our conversations with Touchdown. So we're going to have this nice kiosk to really help people with. And I think with working with Touchdown, we said we need some options for our residents that maybe need our help. And certainly Jeannie, myself, Jay, and the culinary team, we will think those things through before. We would never just cut it and go all to one way. So
I think the Grapevine has been a really great. It's had a good ride. Right? And now it's very clunky, it's cumbersome, it's very hard to update. You have to update in 3 different spots. And so now we're trying to move into a different era where you can be a little bit more interactive with the tools, we can be a little bit more interactive with you. And obviously paper's not going away. We know that 50% of our population doesn't have a computer or a smartphone. So we'll account for that as we go through. The other nice thing about change is it's always happening, right? So it's there. Okay, one more question. Yes. Yep. So the comment is that it would be nice to have a kiosk in Riverstone because you don't have channel 51 or channel 3. So the good news about that is soon you will have channel 51 and you will have channel 3. The kiosks are not inexpensive. I think either about $10,000. Each kiosk is about $10,000 to put up. So that's where we have Seth, Lee, Jay, and Jeannie have worked strategically to place the kiosks in areas where someone can help you if you need help making a reservation or doing that. That's why kind of the reception area, it's actually going to be kind of behind the reception area, more so by the mail room eventually will be. And that's why they won't be all over the campus. It's just too cost prohibitive. But we are hopeful that you'll use your smartphone or use your computer to use that. And we understand it's going to take some time. We'll have a lot of time and listening sessions and working with you to do a reservation, but you can order your food to pick up. I mean, there's so many awesome capabilities that this tool will allow people to do in time. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Happy May. Maybe we'll get some May weather soon. And I really appreciate everyone's patience. And I think next time we meet, we will have a new health center that we'll be able to talk about moving into. So congratulations again, Cheryl. Happy retirement. Oh.